everybody, it's Christina from Redefine Creative, and I'm here with another project for the Cut to You design team using this gorgeous rainbow burst cut file. And the minute I saw this cut file, I seriously was like taken back in time to my love of My Little Pony. Like, I don't know if you guys are with me. Tell me in the comments below if you remember or if you had like all the collections of the My Little Ponies. And I think it's funny because it kind of came back, and then my daughter also played with the My Little Ponies and all the figurines. So my sister and I like literally used to play for hours, like sitting on the floor. We had the houses, we would line them all up, we knew all the names and, you know, all the things. So that's what I'm documenting today. So I have this Dear Lizzie paper that is like navy blue with the star streaks around it, and that I thought was a perfect match for this particular cut file. And then I'm going to use this ombre paper from Bella Boulevard to kind of be the foundation of my layout. So all I went ahead and did to start is I'm going to go ahead and take this Bloom Street paper pad and use it to choose a bunch of patterns to back the stars. So I love the versatility of this particular cut file because you can choose how much or how little you want to back of it. So if you want to back just the stars, you could do that. If you want to back just the rainbow, you could do that. If you want to do both, go for it and do that. Or you could go with none and just use it as the outline. So it's super versatile that way. It's going to look different every single time you use it, which to me is a great cut file to have, because if I'm going to purchase a cut file, I want to make sure it's one that I can use on more than one layout, right? So I went ahead and fussy cut and backed all of those little individual stars in the fun pattern papers. And then I'm going to go ahead and decide just how much of this ombre paper do I want and how much of that navy paper do I want. And I decide that I want the ombre not to be centered in the page, but like with the edge off to the left and the top instead. And that is kind of a pattern that I will do sometimes just for something a little bit different. Now my photo is not the same size as this photo block that kind of is included with this particular cut file, but that is really no big deal. I'm going to use it more as a frame in my paper layers, so it's going to end up working out perfectly. And you'll see I end up having to cut it apart to make it fit around my photo the way I want it to. And if you've been around my channel, guys, you know that I have no problem cutting cut files apart, making them work for me. So I'm going to go ahead and use some of these scraps that I used to back my stars to back my photo. So I've got just a white cardstock, like thin border around the photo itself, and then I have some pink, and now I'm going with this like metallic-y green just to bring definition to the photo. And I decided rather than having straight on photo mats, I wanted them to be like a little bit wonky, and I love that look. And so I will often kind of cut my layers purposefully to be a little bit wonky, just because I like kind of the edging, how that detail looks. So if you're someone who always cuts your mat straight on, try going with a little bit of a wonky edge. So there you can see where I cut that cut file apart. And the reason I did that is because I wanted that star to be on top of my photo, but I wanted the rest of the frame to be behind the photo. So that just made it where I needed to trim that little piece, and you're not going to see that that piece of the cut file was trimmed. So it's not going to make a big difference in the final like look of the cut file in terms of knowing that it was cut apart. So I am going to go ahead and put some foam adhesive, and I put them on some of the rainbow, and then I'm also putting them behind the stars so that this cut file is going to stand up on the page. And I love the dimension that brings, especially when you're not backing the entire cut file. It really makes it look extra cool if you have it popped up on foam, just so that it stands out a little bit differently. And this is seriously a good one for this. And so if you happen to be in the Creative Cuts Club and you're watching this video, I'm giving you a little sneak peek that this particular cut file is going to be in our April Neon Glow kit as one of the cut files that you get. So file this idea away, because in April, you're going to have this cut file in your kit to play with if you're part of the Creative Cuts Club. So then I'm just making sure I have everything kind of glued down. I know in my head that I want to add journaling, and I'm going to put the journaling around the edge of the pink paper. And so now I'm just going to look for some ephemera that I can include. I don't want a whole lot because I want my photo and my cut file work to kind of show, but I am going to try and create just a couple of little clusters of detail. And my photo is actually just a picture of 3 of the little like My Little Pony figurines And that is going to go along with the journaling. So that's where everything is going to kind of tie together. Now, I love the idea of having this little yellow sun tucked up here in the top. And this is that Bloom Street ephemera. So it's going to match with the colors perfectly that I have in my stars. And then I wanted to get that little pop of yellow down here in the bottom too. So I'm going to kind of play around and see if I can get it in there. And then I'm just going back through the ephemera to see what other kind of thing I can use. I like the idea of having this die cut down at the bottom of my rainbow. And I love that little scallopy edge. So I'm kind of playing with making that its own little embellishment cluster. But I'm trying to see what else I can find because I feel like I need just a few more little details. So I'm not looking for a ton of things. And I decided that I like this little like purple heart, and then I'm like, I don't know. Like, do you guys do that when you're creating? Like, you pull out a bunch of things and you're like, yes, yes, yes. And then you put them together and you're like, no, no, no. Now I need something different. I just can't make up my mind. So I take a little piece of this green to tone down my scallopy edge that I want to put on the bottom. And then it helps carry that green to the bottom of the page that I used behind my photo. So I've got all that going on the bottom here, and then I'm going to go ahead and put foam adhesive on my little ticket because I want to have that down there as well. And I'm still like, this flower has got to get in here, you guys. The flower has got to be there, and every time I pull that flower in and out, I mess up the frame. So, you know, you can call me out on that. Even if you were going to be kind and not call me out, I'm going to call myself out on that because I do it every single time I move that flower around. All right, so I'm thinking at this point kind of where am I going to be able to put a title? What is a title going to look like? And I wanted to get one more little flower in here first to make sure that I had that detail carried through kind of down here to the bottom of my layout. And so I have two little kind of clusters going there. And now I'm working on where I need to put that title. So I want my title to say Childhood Obsession, or at least that's what I'm thinking at this point in time. So I'm going to use these tiny little foam, like navy blue letters. And we're going to use like 2 lines to spell childhood because that space that I have is kind of small. And I wanted to say childhood obsession. So the word obsession is kind of big. So I have the childhood split up in 2, and I just want everything to be nestled in there so it looks natural. And so that's my big thing when I'm trying to add a title at this point in the layout is where can I put it so it's going to look like it was there all along. I didn't have to like force it to fit. Does that make sense? So I'm thinking childhood obsession. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I have that little open space next to childhood, and that just doesn't look right to me. And so how can I fix it? So I go back to my letter stash and think about how I can fix that little spot. And it leads to me pulling out kind of a pale blue puffy alpha. And I'm going to put the word my there. So instead of childhood obsession, my title is going to become My Childhood Obsession, which is a perfectly good title. But look at how it fills in that space just so much better. And then those pale blue puffy stickers happen to have these little stars and hearts and icons with them. So I'm going to get one of those into each of my clusters. And then I'm trying to think about what else I need to finish off those clusters. So I don't want a ton of embellishments. I don't feel like I need a bunch of mixed media. I really like the clean lines of this particular layout, so I'm not worried about anything like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle around some more little puffy stickers. These are just stars, hearts, and flowers from Bella Boulevard. And so I'm trying to pull in all the colors that are in that Dear Lizzie paper in the background, as well as all the colors that I used from Bloom Street to back my stars. And then I go ahead and grab some enamel dots. Like, we're putting all the little things on here, you guys. And those little finishing touches are just the parts that make me so happy. I love how those tiny little details just make the layout feel finished. And so that is basically going to do it. I did go back off screen and add my journaling around that outside edge, just like I had planned to. And I really love how that looks on a layout. So I would definitely encourage you to give that a try. Go check out this Rainbow Burst cut file because it is absolutely beautiful on a page. And I will be back to see you guys again soon. Bye, everybody.